All right, what's up, guys? It's Ryan, um, and I wanted to do a video about ANZ champs, or I guess inspired by ANZ champs. Um, so, for those who don't know, ESL Australia has been running an amazing event over the last few weeks. ANZ champs. It's the first season of 2021, and they're doing a great job. Production is killing it. The hosts, the casters. All doing an excellent job, very entertaining. The players are doing great. They have great, not only their play, but also the way they're showcasing their personality through the interviews, the micro tournament that they're running with the Marine Split Challenge. It's great content. It's excellent to watch. It's super interesting. And I think it's one of the best tournaments we've had in ANZ for a very long time. And it's really cool to see all these players that I've played with over the years and some new faces all competing together and playing in this tournament. And one player in particular that I want to talk about today is the player Oreo. So right now we're in the middle of ANZ champs, and it's the 16 best players from the ANZ region, and there's two groups of 8, and Oreo is in Group B, and I believe right now he has a 2-3 record. He might be in 5th or 6th in the group. There's still some matches to be played. But he's 5th in the group. But I want to talk about Oreo today. And practically on paper, I would say that of the Zergs in the group, Seether and Azure are probably on paper the two best players. Of the Zergs in the group, I think it wouldn't be unreasonable to pick Oreo as one of the top contenders of the Zergs. You know, Mighty Kiwi and Crimson from New Zealand are both more old school players who have been out of the game, only coming back more recently. Chase as well is another name in that group who is competitive, but again, you might think Oreo might have a good chance in this group. So on paper, you might say he's the third best, and practically, if he doesn't make it out of this group, I think it's a big achievement for the Zergs that displace him, and I think they did a very good job. But what this video is really about is projecting to the future. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit about this player, Oreo. So I've gone back and looked at this guy, and really I want to tell you about him and why I think that this guy is going to be one of the best players in the region, if not the best. And so I guess where I'll start is really the progression that this player has shown, that Oreo has shown. 2 years ago, this guy was like a 5K type player on the servers, you know what I mean? Like a Masters, low GM, at his best, Masters type player. Not that strong. 2 years ago, like 2019, that's where this guy's level's at. A year ago, this guy's like low to mid GM, contender. In 2019, he's beating Blisk at Brizcraft, coming top 4 as like a Masters player. Last year, he's taking series off people, playing well, above his level, in my opinion, in tournaments. But now this year, this guy's like a mid to high GM player on an A, strong player on Korea. The trajectory that he's been on as a player is super impressive. And one thing that I think is important to note is just because someone has been improving doesn't mean they'll continue to. Like, this could be the peak. This might be as good as he gets. But for me, watching him play, like, it's not the only factors that he has been getting better. It's the way he did. So, 2 years ago, I looked at this player and I would watch him play, and he was frantic. He was all over the place. He looked panicked when he was playing the game. And when I would watch him stream and watch his first person view, I thought, oh, this is just another like player that just has very high APM, but he doesn't really get it, like what really matters. And this year, I was watching him play again. Obviously, he's from Brisbane as well. I've seen him play, and his first person is so good. Like, the way his mechanics are so clean, there's not wasted actions, he's very fast, and now it's speed that's useful. He's using the speed to do things that matter. It's not just speed for the sake of speed. It's clean. It makes sense. And I'm watching this guy, and I'm saying, well, he plays really clean, he makes sense. His mentality to the game, when you talk to him, he understands how to improve. He's constantly working on himself, studying the game, improving. He has a great approach to his practice. He's playing the game a lot, practicing. And this year, I looked at his Ligalak just now to see some of his results. He's taken a series win over Azure, obviously an ANZ chance. He's just beaten Azure. I think he's beaten him before as well. Azure, obviously a contender player. In terms of this tournament, he might be a top 3, top 4 player in the tournament. Based on what's happened in the group so far, I think he's first in the group ahead of Seether. So, this is a very difficult player to beat. Azure's beaten him. Piglet, who's in the other group, who I think has gotten, if not third, at least fourth in regional competitions before. Obviously an excellent player. Ender, he's taken a series off. He won the fucking regional finals at the end of last year. Like, this is a big win to beat Ender. He's beaten Mira Micah. He's beaten all of these players. And he's still like a relatively new, inexperienced player in the scene. And to me, I don't see why he should stop improving. I think that this guy on the trajectory, when I look back on him, the only player that, who he reminds me of is Petraeus in 2012. That's where I see this guy. It's like an early 2012 Petraeus. I think this guy's going to continue improving. And for me, I think he'll start competing for the biggest tournaments that exist. Like I was saying before, his mechanics are very good, super clean. Huge improvement over where he was at 2 years ago. He's constantly trying to optimize his play. He's studying the game. And there's a lot of players in the scene who are veterans of the game, who are playing for a long time. My general feeling is that those kind of players have a lot of pros that you know what you're going to get. If they fall off, there's actually a good chance that they can probably get back to their old level. They're going to have a lot of experience in tournaments, know how to perform. But it's unlikely that those players are going to reach some never-before-seen level. Someone like me, I've been playing the game since I was 16, and I'm 25 now. So if I was to go play competitively, it's been 9 years for me of playing StarCraft, right? You wouldn't expect to see me suddenly performing at a way higher level than you've ever seen me before. But someone like Oreo, like I'm saying, in 2018, this guy was like a diamond player. And now he's top 50 GM on NA, mid-high GM career, competitive in tournaments, beating top-level players with much more experience than him. Great mentality towards the game, to improving. And that kind of progress, like I said, to me, this is this guy reminds me of Petraeus, and Petraeus obviously went on to be an extremely, extremely strong player, the best player in the region, really kind of by far, eventually, once he was able to sort of translate his dedication into the tournament realm. Oreo, I think, is even better in that sense, where I think this guy is able to perform better in tournaments already. I think he comes up with good plans. I think Petraeus was sort of a macro monster, or he was a bit of a ladder player. He sort of played only one way. I think Oreo is flexible. He can play different styles. And the way I see it is with players like Probe, potentially, you listen to Probe on stream. This is a guy who maybe isn't as motivated as he's been in the past. I think potentially we've seen the best of Probe behind us. And that's not meant to be a slight against Probe. I just think that the way his motivation is going, and I think similar might be true of Seether. I think these players, if there's someone hungry enough to take the crown, if it were, off them, I think that it's open. You know what I mean? I think especially in terms of A and Z tournaments, I think it's very open. And for me, do I think it's going to be someone like an Azure or a Pez who are both top-level players if Probe or Seether fall off? Are these the players, these experienced veterans? I think generally it's the players that take over. It's usually the next generation. It's not the second best guys from the same generation who take over. It's usually the new generation of talent. And I think that, in my opinion, it's really a matter of when, not if, Oreo gets to that level. And that's how highly I think of this guy. And my opinion is that I think he will be a huge force in a lot of tournaments coming up. And I would not be surprised if we saw this guy winning an ANZ Champs within a year. You know what I mean? That's the level that I think this guy can reach. And of the players in the scene, from what I've seen, I think this guy is legit, the real deal. And that's no disrespect, and obviously it doesn't mean that he's guaranteed to do it. But in my opinion, like, I just can't see really. I think it's so much more likely that it does happen from what I can see. But I could be wrong, but this is my opinion, and I guess I'd love to hear what people think about this, and how people have been enjoying the tournament, the ANZ Champs tournament, and hopefully I'd like to see Oreo get top 4 in his group here and continue on. But I think he still has to play Crimson, and Crimson. Who else is in his group? He's played Seether, played Azure, played Mighty Kiwi, played Chase. Hasn't played Crimson. There's another Zerg in his group. Chappie, I think. So Chappie, I think, might be in his group. So we're going to see. I think a 4-3 record, if he's able to beat Crimson and Chappie, I think he should have a good chance of getting into the top 4, depending on how some of the other results go. But I really hope he can make it through, because I think he can really make a dent here in the playoffs. I'm not going to say he's going to win this tournament. Obviously, I would say Probe or Seether has the best chance. And in fact, I can't see it. I think it'll be Probe or Seether. I can't see anyone else winning this one. But down the line, for me, Oreo's the guy.